Hey guys, welcome to the Highlysober Hangout movie review. I am your host, Gerald Yelverton. Today we will be breaking down the 2007 comedy Superbad. And joining me today, we have John. How you doing, John?
Hey, how's it going?
And John, what do you do?
Well, I'm professionally not involved with movies, but I do enjoy movies. I consider myself a bit of a cinephile. I guess an amateur movie critic would be the best way to describe me. I like breaking down movies and talking about movies, and I do from time to time recreationally write. I'm working on screenplays and such.
Cool, cinephile and amateur movie critic. That's just a guy with a grudge.
He's an actor too. He's just playing himself down.
Next, we have Sam.
I'm Sam White. I'm a independent writer-director, and occasionally, if somebody really, pushes me, an actor.
Nice. And joining us down in the end, we have Jay.
Hey, it's Jay Melnamo. I'm a producer, writer, actor, model. Yeah, fun stuff.
Nice. And I'm your host, Gerald. Like we said, we're breaking down the 2007 comedy Superbad, produced by Judd Apatow, directed by Greg Mottola, and written by Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg. The film stars Jonah Hill, Michael Cera, Christopher Mintz-Plasse, Bill Hader, Seth Rogen, Martha McIsaac, Emma Stone, Aviva Brahman, and an appearance by Mr. Dave Franco.
Thanks for taking him, Seth.
No problem.
I can't imagine what you're going to do without each other next year. Evan told me you didn't get into Dartmouth. You going to miss each other?
No, I don't miss each other. Yeah, I'm gonna cry myself to sleep every night. Me too. When I'm out partying.
Go to school, boys.
Bye. Take care of those.
I never see you at parties or anything.
Saturday was actually a crazy night for me. Seth's parents were throwing this party, like a get-together, cocktail casual.
Wow.
And then we went to a nightclub.
You got in.
We got right in.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
You would have loved it.
Get my brand new fake ID.
Wait, you changed your name to McLovin?
Doesn't even have a first name. It just says McLovin.
This guy's either going to think, here's another kid with a fake ID, or here's McLovin, the 25-year-old Hawaiian organ donor.
I am McLovin. Hello, Mindy.
Okay. I'm going to need to see some identification.
Makes me feel young again.
Ethnically, was he like
What?
African?
Was he African? No, he was like you.
He was Jewish. So we have an African Jew wearing a hoodie.
Tonight is our last party as high school people. You know when you hear girls saying, like, oh, I was so gone last night, I shouldn't have slept with that guy. We could be that mistake.
Engage.
Hey, Becca.
I love you. I love you.
Why don't we say that every day? Why can't we say it more often?
I just want to go to the rooftops and scream, I love my best friend Evan. Boop. You're like the coolest person that's ever talked to me, and I blew it.
Come on, you didn't blow it. I think maybe...
That is bona fide badass.
Superbad is a film about two codependent high school seniors and are forced to deal with separation anxiety after they plan to stage a booze-soaked party, and that all goes awry. So, guys, what's your history with this film?
I got this. What year did this come out again?
2007.
2007. Okay, I know that I got this film like the summer it came out or something like that, and then I watched it like literally 38 times. And I counted. It was crazy. And so, what? It's a
38 times?
It's a 2-hour film. And I didn't realize that until I was watching it, last night. And I was like, holy crap, it's 2 hours. And I watched it 38 times. That's like 80 hours.
I'm not sure if I'm more disturbed that you watched it that many times or the fact that you counted.
I mean, it was like the time of counting, right? I mean, you got girls and okay, never mind. I'm gonna go. But yeah, no, the film. I mean, at the time, it sort of encompassed everything that you sort of did in college and maybe towards the end of high school. For myself, I didn't really start drinking until I was like, 17? And that's pretty normal, I think. But apparently kids are drinking a lot earlier. And they wrote this film when they were 13.
Yeah, they started writing in 13. It took them like 7 years to finally get it together. Yeah.
That's crazy that you have 13-year-olds sitting there going, cops are doing donuts in the parking lot.
Well, stuff is crazy up in Vancouver, man.
Is that where it takes place? I felt really bad because the opening shot is on a license plate. It's actually on the beat-up car of Jonah Hill. Mm-hmm. And, like, I was just looking at the car and I wasn't paying attention. And, like, halfway through the movie, I was like, I feel like I should know where this movie is taking place, and if I had read the license plate at the very beginning, I would have known that.
It's not
in America.
They were Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg are from Vancouver. Okay. The film is supposed to take place in Las Vegas, in Nevada, but it's shot all around LA.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, it looked like California. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. How about Sam? What's your history with this?
I remember seeing the trailer for the first time when I was away on a youth group retreat with my church. And that's my first memory of the movie, is seeing that and going, oh, that's a movie that we won't be going to. And then I saw it a number of years later, probably when I was about 19. I was living in my stepbrother's apartment while he was away getting sober, and somebody needed to watch the apartment, so I was there and my brother came over and we rented a couple different comedies. I think it was Superbad, Forgetting Sarah Marshall, Knocked Up,
all part of the Judd Apatow crew.
All the Judd Apatow stuff that was everybody was talking about. Mm-hmm. And I was kind of done with youth group by that point, so I didn't feel too bad popping into the DVD player. And I got a big kick out of it. It's not the kind of movie that I would make, and I wouldn't immediately think, but for what it is, it's fantastic. It's one of the best examples of those kind of young people raunchy comedies. It's definitely right up there at the top.
This is going a little off topic, but just I'm curious, what kind of movies did you guys watch in youth group? What kind of movie would you go to see?
Disney movies
cool.
and stuff. We did go to see The Village once, but that was because I convinced the youth group leader, because I had seen it already. I'm like, okay. I swear, there's no sex and there's no language. It won't cause anybody to stumble. Wow.
The Village. That's a good one to talk about. We should talk about that at another time. That's cool.
I'd be up for that.
John, what's yours?
My history with the film.
Mm-hmm.
I saw it when it first came out in theaters. And then I watched it in preparation for this. I actually liked it more the second time I watched it. If you want my overall rating on the movie, I think that of movies, this type of movie about, awkward teenagers or whatever and parties and stuff, I feel like it is one of the better ones. I mean, there's been a plethora of movies like that. This makes me think of Dazed and Confused, or Can't Hardly Wait, which was another favorite of mine.
It's a good one.
Genre. Mm-hmm. That was 99, I think that came out.
Mm-hmm.
I felt overall it was good. I had a couple little problems with the movie, but nothing huge. I feel it's pretty good.
Cool.
So.
We'll get into all those things. I don't remember if I saw this in theaters or not.
I don't remember either. I was trying to think about it the first time that I've ever really watched it, and I'm not sure I really paid to see it in theaters. But when it came out, I bought at the full price before they discounted and everything. And then I just watched the crap out of it. So
yeah, I mean, I don't remember the first time I saw this.
I don't either. I can't remember. I might have. It was it was after college for me.
Yeah,
2004, right? So that's
2007.
2007.
Oh, that was only 6 years ago.
Wait, holy crap! Wait, when I graduated in 2000.
See, I feel this would have been
I graduated that year, so that's why I can't remember, right?
See, I feel like this would. I feel like this would have been it was definitely post college for me, but I feel like this would have been kind of like Napoleon Dynamite, where if I was in college, at every party or in every at least a dorm room on each floor, this would be playing at some point in time. But
it was quotable almost instantly. You started to hear
McLovin was all over the place.
DTF down the block.
Exactly.
It became like part of popular culture like that.
But I definitely enjoyed it, and it's one of those films where every time I see it, I think I laugh even more. Like, I always find new stuff or old stuff that's just so ridiculous.
That's why, I mean, because every time you see it, it's one of those type of movies that has so much information fed to you, whether it was provided by the art director, whether it was provided by the director or the script itself. There is so much on every level, and it's subtle things that it's like the thing that, okay, so there's one scene where they're playing soccer, right?
Yeah,
and you go into the scene and you start hearing earlier and earlier what lines they have, and I heard one last night, which I can't grab the quote, honestly.
Okay.
But it opens up and Evan says something, and it's just so hilarious, and it's just those little things that you start picking up after you already understand what's going on, and that's those type of movies that provide so much information and have that replay value. That's why it's literally like my number one film. It's absolutely amazing.
It definitely captures high school really well. Just, I mean, like I'm sure most people, have memories of being really awkward and just the overall goofiness that existed back at that time. And I'm thinking of that scene with the soccer.
Yeah.
He just like runs out in the field and like, get off the field.
Yeah, right.
Then he runs off and he just like kicks the ball away.
Yeah. That is funny.
He's like, getting that. He's like, no, I'm not. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Like, you just do that. It's high school. Who cares? So
I think that scene, that's like, I think that's literally my favorite scene, because it's like, who thinks to write a scene in the middle of a soccer field and they're playing like, the pickup games that you're basically play, you get
stuff
beginning of the class, everyone's picking each other, and then you hope you're not last picked, right? That's awesome. And in the middle of it, and then you've got the teacher yelling at them, all pissed off, and you're just like, wow, this is a really thought out scene, and how the heck did they come up with it?
I think, like you guys said, I think that this movie is one of, at least from my experience, one of the most authentic high school experience movies. And I think it's cool because it came around a time because we had already gotten rid of like the late 90s, early 2000s, teen movies when like the American Pie. That was American Pie.
Was like the definitive one for the late 90s, and then this sort of defined the next generation.
Exactly. Like you mentioned, Can't Hardly Wait. And
one thing I was really happy with this movie that it did that a lot of those movies, the other ones, didn't do, was they actually used actors that looked like they're in high school.
Oh, yeah.
Like Can't Hardly Wait and, She's All That and everything. All the actors are like 30 playing high schoolers. And like this, like Michael Cera and like Jonah Hill and Christopher Mintz-Plasse, like really, like they all like look like awkward teenagers. I don't know exactly how old. I would imagine they were probably 18 or 19 at the time when they filmed it.
Actually,
Jonah Hill is fairly old.
Jonah Hill is like 30-something years old now.
Yeah, man, we're all playing 18-year-olds.
But he was like 24, 25.
Well, he was the oldest looking one out of the bunch. I mean, Christopher Mintz-Plasse, his voice was cracking the entire movie. I don't know if he just has that much control over his voice or not.
Interesting fact, Christopher Mintz-Plasse, McLovin, was 17. And so his mom had to be on set at all times, even when he did the sex scene.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I love it.
Oh, my God.
In a lot of the movies. You said he's 17.
No, it's not.
A lot of these other high school movies, all the actors are just over. They're like our age.
Yeah.
That's weird.
That's why you get a Chris O'Donnell walking in like, hey, I'm Robin, and Batman adopts a grown-ass man.
Oh, yeah. He's got like an 8-pack. Yeah. Like, what's going on here?
Somebody said something a minute ago about it being really capturing the high school experience. Going back to mine, because I was homeschooled.
Okay.
So seeing this was interesting because it kind of showed me a lot of what I missed out on.
Mm-hmm.
And it's good to have confirmation that it's at least reasonably right on. So
yeah.
I mean, obviously it exaggerates some things. That's what Hollywood does. But I mean, a lot of the calmer scenes, especially the earlier scenes where they're just like in class or like walking around the hallways, like that's pretty accurate.
One of the trivia things that I was reading on IMDb is that the beginning conversations that they're having are literally verbatim what the three friends, Evan, Seth, and their friend Fogel, were literally having, and they just went verbatim and they wrote it, and they did the whole thing because they wanted to see whether they could write a film. Just for the heck of it. I think that's
a whole bunch of Seth Rogen's films he wrote pretty early on in high school, and then he just touched them up later on. Was Old School his first
Old School?
He wasn't in Old School.
Was talking about the wrong movie. Was Superbad. Was Superbad his first?
This is like his first breakout in writing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he had written for a couple of TV shows like Undeclared and Ali G, but this was like his first breakout as a writer. And actually, it's interesting. Like I think it's either on like a special edition DVD or you can go on YouTube and see it. Because, like you said, he wrote this when he was 13, and then he joined the whole Judd Apatow group with like the television show Freaks and Geeks, where like Jason Segel and James Franco, and they all come from. And so when Judd Apatow gave him the okay to go ahead and Judd Apatow said he'd produce it, they actually do a table read, and you can see it. And Seth is playing Seth, and James Franco's there, and Jason Segel's playing Evan, and like they're doing like this whole read through. But it's like all the actors from like, This Is the End playing these high school students. And they at that time, Seth Rogen looks like he's damn near 50 years old. But he's like 30-something. But yeah, it's pretty interesting.
When I was watching the film originally, like I didn't see how the Judd Apatow, or wait, that's his name, right?
Judd Apatow, the producer?
Okay, no. I'm going for who played Evan? And
okay, so Evan was played by Michael Cera, and Seth is played by Jonah Hill.
Actors' names.
Yeah.
But, okay, so you're looking at if you're looking at Seth, right?
Sure.
And then you watch it again, and you replace Seth with the image in your head of like Seth Rogen. You can totally see him saying those lines like verbatim. It's exact. It's amazing.
If he had just been younger, he would have had the part.
And it kind of just changed my entire perception of the movie completely. Like I have an issue like going back and forth between them because they're literally playing like the same person. It's amazing.
Their names are the same, Seth and Evan,
I
the two writers.
Funny that they didn't change the names. Seth and Evan. I was like, okay, well, that's obviously Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg, who wrote it, and then they just got Michael Cera and Jonah Hill playing.
Well, that's cool. Let's break down the cast. Jonah Hill playing Seth. What did you guys think of him?
He was really good. Obviously the character is a very crass character. I guess that's a good word. Rough around the edges. He curses a lot. He yells. He's rude to his friends. But I guess that's high school, right? He did a really good job of it. We're just going to talk about Jonah Hill right now.
Well, you can cross-reference.
I was going to say I felt like this was a really good role for Michael Cera, but we'll talk about Michael Cera when it's actually his turn. But yeah, Jonah Hill, he had a lot of energy. It seemed to fit, the role seemed to fit him well.
Jonah Hill's got in this movie a tough role cut out for him because honestly, on the page, the character really could come across as completely unlikable. He spends most of the movie trying to get laid, and not in a particularly gentlemanly fashion. He's just full out. He's gonna bang Emma Stone no matter what he has to do with it, and he's trying to get her drunk so that he can have sex with her. This is not the kind of character that you would immediately jump to and go, I can get behind this man. This man has goals in life, But
date rape is one of them.
Drawing penises.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, drawing penises
Professionally, right?
But Jonah Hill has so much charm and screen presence that you're willing to go along, even when you kind of want to slap him upside the head. You enjoy it, and I think a lot of that comes in the hands of a lesser actor. It would have just gone totally awry, and you would have had just a disgusting character to follow along, and I don't think the movie would be half as good as it is.
Yeah, I like the timing. A lot of the timing from the cast that they selected, they had this very awkward presence.
Yeah,
and I thought that he was able to successfully do that. And when you have that awkward presence, you sort of understand like you're supposed to feel something for this character, and you sort of see that like they're not they're maybe crap people, but their intentions aren't necessarily. I don't know what your thoughts are on sex and going after girls and using alcohol and stuff like that. But I think that's pretty common in society.
Yeah, well, in high school, that's like the misconception with young high school guys. It's like, I gotta get laid, and they're, oh, well, get the girl drunk. That's how you're supposed to do it.
It's never gonna happen if she's sober.
Yeah, and it's that whole, pressure. I don't know if it's a societal pressure, or they just want to feel like the big guy on campus, where they gotta get laid, and it's Yeah, if you think, looking back at it now, it's like that's really immoral. You know.
Oh yeah,
I gotta get
definitely,
this girl drunk.
absolutely.
But you know, that's the thing in high school and even early college. It's like you got to do what you got to do to get laid, and I think that's probably what holds a lot of guys back is that immaturity. A lot of girls are probably turned off by that. And as you grow as a person, you come to realize like, wow, I'm being a giant douchebag. I should probably stop doing that.
Yeah, right.
I liked how you brought up the awkwardness, and I thought that was cool because these three really seemed like they were friends.
Oh, yeah.
And you always have that friend that you don't like, and you got that friend who talks a big game, but he doesn't know what he's talking about, and then you got the guy who can kind of sway.
They said when they were casting for Evan, they were casting for the best friend because freaking Jonah Hill, you know, and Seth Rogen were friends for a long time.
Yeah, they were.
So I mean, they were casting for his friend. If that's what they were going for, they did it perfectly, in my opinion.
See, I like how in this, like, in the group of friends, it's just like three, and they're not even like losers, just three guys. They're kind of like run of the mill, and you like I think a lot of other movies would have given you like that perfect jock guy, but they don't give you that in this anywhere in the movie. Like even the guy who bullies, you know, Seth is a loser himself. Just like look at him, like standing in front of like the quickie market or what? The quickie, the mall, yeah.
I guess I heard it, you know, a long time ago, but
spitting on people, like you never see that, and then even you never even see like the popular girl, like Emma Stone, is not playing, you know, the school beauty queen. You know, they're just regular people. I thought that was cool.
I mean, they did cast, you know, Emma Stone and the other girl that plays, I can't remember the girl's name, but both
Martha McIsaac, Becca,
both very attractive actresses.
Oh yeah,
it's like almost to the point where it's like Emma Stone with a guy that looks like Jonah Hill. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I was thinking that at the end.
You know what's funny about that? Okay, I guess we moved on to Emma Stone because when I originally saw this, I didn't look at her and think like, "Yo!" It wasn't until like much later where I was like Emma Stone, and then I actually forgot that she was in this movie.
Oh, that's funny. I thought she was hot.
Like today, I think she's like amazing, and I love the whole like mouth and teeth thing. Like that's cool.
She has
mouth and teeth.
Has a mouth and teeth.
That's normally my number one like thing. I
No, but you know, she has that. It's cute.
Anatomically correct. It's
Yeah.
wonderful.
It's like I think like after I had seen like Easy A and all those other movies, and when I came back to like watch this, I was like, "That's Emma Stone." Like
Yeah.
I didn't realize it. What do you guys think of Michael Cera? He's playing Michael Cera.
It's probably his best role. Michael Cera's always been a good performer, but you know, what is everybody laughing at?
I'm not laughing. I'm just
looking at you.
Smile.
Yeah, smile. Yeah.
All times. Yeah.
Just kind of like, I was about to do the face he's doing, and then I remember that we're on, you know, a radio thing. We're not. You can't see me.
I have a huge grin.
But
You can't see me do the impression.
Through. The smile comes through in your voice.
Right?
No, but I mean, I think he's a good performer. He's done some funny stuff, but he's an actor with very limited range, and I think he knows that. But this definitely was a role that utilized his strengths the best, and it really comes through, and he's adorable.
It almost seems like typecasting, doesn't it? Like,
Well, yeah, but
But I think he's done it to himself.
well, I mean, it seems like he was typecast in this role. Like, I never saw what was the show he was on? Arrested Development. But
it's the same role.
Is it the same role?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's very true of Michael Cera. He plays awkward teenager really well, but unfortunately that's what he plays in like most of his movies. The only like possible exceptions would be This Is the End. He plays like a coked up version of himself.
That's so awesome.
And while it's crazy seeing Michael
There's got to be some
Cera-
truth to that, I think.
I'm not inside Hollywood. But,
Yeah, I don't know.
No, I mean, like, while it's, you know, funny to see him as a cooked-up version of himself there, or whatever, like, he's being wild, like, it's like Michael Cera wild. Like, he's not, like, crazy the way, like, you could see, like, another actor, like, really just having so much fun with that role. And then in Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, I think that was actually a pretty decent role for him, where he's not completely awkward, like, he's actually able to get with girls in that movie, and... he's pretty funny in that role, I think, but in this role, even though he's that awkward version of himself, he does it very well, and he's a really great character foil for Jonah Hill's character, where he's very mellow and chill and just, again, awkward, but his comedic timing is really, really well, really good in this movie. One of the opening scenes, he's when they see Michael Cera's mom in the car.
Oh yeah.
And Jonah Hill's like, oh, he's like, I'm so jealous that you got to suck on those titties when you're a kid. He's like, yeah, well, you got to suck on your dad's dick. So there was that. Like his timing with that one. I laughed really hard.
Just
at
the
that.
deadpan delivery of it.
No one plays Michael Cera better than Michael Cera except for Jesse Eisenberg. Interchangeable. No. I thought he was cool too. It was funny after I saw this movie. I remember seeing Juno, and I honestly thought like it was the same character, like just getting a girl pregnant. I really did. I didn't even see a difference. Like I would have thought his name was Seth in that too. It was weird. Jay, would you?
He does that a lot.
Yeah, I think he was sort of perfectly cast for the role, but I mean, he is him. But he does it perfectly. And I mean, as far as movies go, I think that Superbad is a perfect performance, and I think Superbad really is a great example of what he can do, though.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, whether he goes outside of that or not, he's making millions of dollars, and who's to tell him he's wrong if he's going to change?
I mean, I've always said that. I mean, acting is very similar to singing in that you may have a limited range, but that just means be as good an actor or a singer in your range. Somebody like Bing Crosby, one of the greatest recording artists. Yeah, he was a rock god in his era. They wouldn't have used that term, but he really does not have much of a range. He's stuck, down in the basement and doesn't have many high notes and doesn't have anything exceptionally low that's like wow, But he just had a really smooth, real good control over his voice.
Frosty the Snowman. Yeah.
But it's that thing of like be as good as you can be at what you're good at. And
Absolutely.
For some people that's going to be all over the map. For some people it's going to be just a few character roles. But Michael Cera does it. He makes what he's good at work.
Maybe it's a problem with Hollywood. Maybe because all the actors in Hollywood are all like 6'1", 200-pound like muscle bound dudes, and then they're like, well, we need someone to play an awkward teenager. Who do we get? Michael Cera, I guess. That's all we got.
Sure.
He looks young enough. That's good.
You can't have Robert Downey Jr. come and play 18-year-old awkward kid.
Just shave him. No.
1 word, 3 syllables. McLovin.
Oh, it's iconic.
I thought he was so awesome. He just made me laugh. And then his banter back and forth with with Jonah Hill, I think was even funnier than the Michael Cera Jonah Hill.
It's the most commonly used name on the planet.
Yeah.
Fucking book.
His reasoning is so perfect because that there's somebody you met in high school that their reasoning for what they do is completely just off the wall.
Yeah. First
It's
of all,
awesome.
you look like a pedophile. Second of all, you didn't have a second name. It just says McLovin.
Yeah, he was easily the best part of that movie. He's just so. I feel like the director was just like have fun with this role.
Yeah.
Be McLovin. He really did. He was all over the place. He's just. I don't know. Again, if it was just control over his voice or because he was so young, he's just cracking his voice up and he's like, yeah, chicka chicka what? It's like being so ridiculous. I saw. I don't know a little bit of myself in him when I was that young, which not trying to be. Full of myself or anything, but just like how just goofy I was back when I was a kid, and he's completely like that, and awesome. And like him when he's with the cops, and the cops are like, oh, you want to shoot our gun? He's like, hell yeah, just like being like that wild. I mean, the kid that just like wants to do
suddenly turns gangster.
Yeah.
He's the guy who'd lock his door when the guy comes up with flowers.
Like the one character in Office Space where he's like in his car rapping at the very beginning, and like the one guy comes up, he's like just locks his door.
Right.
You said the cops. Bill Hader, Seth Rogen. Bill Hader is just. I think he's funny in anything he does.
Yeah,
he's
a brilliant comedian.
He's just. I would watch SNL and just like laugh.
Dude, the intro to Pineapple Express was hilarious.
Yeah, that was probably part of the best parts of that movie.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely great performance from them too. But I mean, and then it's funny to see Seth Rogen in his own movie, but not as him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because he kind of plays that same guy too, and he's totally different in this.
It's so funny.
He's got. It's one of those things. There's parts of all kinds of movies that just stick with you, even though they're not like particularly famous. But just there's a line of movie that just always cracks me up, and it's when they have the car accident where they run over Michael Cera and Jonah Hill. And McLovin's in the back of the seat, and they're gonna convince him to not talk about it. And he hands this 17-year-old kid. He goes, "Have a cigarette, McLovin. Life's short. You should smoke up." And it always cracks me up. Maybe just because I'm a smoker, it sticks with me in my head.
That's cool.
I felt obviously both the cops, Seth Rogen, and I forget the other guy's name right now.
Bill Hader.
Both of them as actors, they performed the roles very well. Getting into the writing a little bit here, though, the cops are actually my least favorite part of the movie.
Really?
Writing-wise, because like it kind of, while all the parts about high school and everything seemed pretty accurate and like they portrayed everything very well, the cops, I've met a lot of cops, maybe not enough, but. I've heard of cops doing some dumb stuff, but the things the cops do, like how dumb the cops are in this movie, is just it's like, come on, that would never happen. They would not be employed.
Hold on. When you're at a red light and you see a cop turn on his lights just to get through, and then he turns it off afterwards, I've seen crap like that all the time. They have all their cell phones.
I've seen stuff like that.
They're texting people. They're not have seatbelt.
I haven't seen cops drunk off their asses, hitting kids with their car and then destroying their car with with alcohol and a Molotov cocktail.
You haven't been to Compton.
I guess.
I mean, the stop and frisk policies of New York right now are a good example of what cops can do.
I'm pretty sure you can't go into a bar while you're on duty in uniform and start drinking beer. I'm pretty sure you can't do that. You can't.
All right. When was it? Oh, what was the time period for the movie?
2007.
Well, that was when...
It's interesting.
No, that was when it was made. They wrote it when it was 13.
He means the setting.
The setting. I guess, I think it was present day.
I mean, if you look at the cell phones, they're not holding iPhones.
Well, who was holding up? How many people were holding? In 2006. Everybody was at the Razor at that time.
It's interesting that you bring up the time period, though, because... I just bumped the microphone. Because the movie really visually, you look at the opening credits and just the way it looks, it actually owes a big debt to the 70s.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Which is kind of what, because I don't think Seth Rogen and who was
Evan Goldberg.
They wouldn't have been in high school in the 70s and stuff.
90s, I think.
No.
So it's interesting the movie has that influence, but just the look of it and the soundtrack and all that is very, very 70s. And
I think that's pretty cool.
I think that's one of the strengths of the movie, because again, like I said, it's not the kind of thing that I would immediately think, oh, this is my kind of comedy. But that little bit, that element of retro to it, that really makes it click for me.
They definitely put that in intentionally, because they have the opening song and the opening sequence is from the 70s, and then Seth Rogen, Seth Rogen's character played by Jonah Hill, he can't go home because his car got towed, so he has to borrow a shirt from Michael Cera.
His dad's clothes.
He has to get his dad's clothes, and he's wearing that 70s button-down shirt, and he wears that for pretty much the rest of the movie. And I'm pretty sure that was intentional.
Oh, I thought.
Well, just the name is Superbad. That's an ode to the 70s type.
I was trying to wear Seth's clothes. It was tiny, baby Gap, right? I don't know, but either way, it's definitely retro the whole way through. It's got that feel. Even the intro I thought was really cool. And I'm not sure, that's kind of a ballsy move doing the intro, how they did it. Because normally you got the black screen or you're going into whatever the setting is and everything, and they want to drop you in. But
unless you're Bond.
There you are. Yeah.
70s.
No, I didn't even think about exactly.
Well, for a lighthearted movie like this, it totally works to have something like that at the beginning. Just kind of let the audience know this is going to be a fun, goofy movie. So they just have silhouettes of them dancing to some 70s funk.
So you don't have that guy sitting in there that would never happen.
That was me.
Well,
that was the first time I saw it. I kind of let it go a little more the second time I saw it. But the first time I saw it, I'm sitting there watching the cops, and I'm like, come on, no, this is just ridiculous. I know it's Hollywood and we exaggerate everything, but these cops are just that would never happen.
So yeah, let's just get in. What were some of your favorite parts about the movie?
Well, my
Favorite
favorite
scenes.
It's not this isn't a scene, but for me, it's actually probably, and I guess because I'm a nerd, the most interesting aspect of the film is this was 2007. This movie was shot with the Panavision Genesis camera, which is one of the earliest digital video cameras that the industry began saying, okay, we could make legitimate movies digitally. It doesn't have to be done on celluloid anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And the film, honestly, it's not the kind of thing that you immediately think of what a visual masterpiece.
Mm-hmm.
But again, going back to that, here's a movie shot with modern technology that managed just to capture the look of 70s cinematography, which would all have been celluloid, and what I think is probably the best period for cinematography. It's where you have Exorcist and French Connection and Last Tango in Paris. So from my standpoint, it's a real testament, and one of the movies that convinces me, digital is the future of cinema, and we're not losing anything, we're gaining something. It's a real testament to the power of that camera. And I mean, Genesis is an earlier digital camera, and there's been improvements since. But it's one of the first movies that I think really convinced me, and I think convinced a lot of people that, okay, this is the way to go.
That's cool. So, had there been other movies shot digitally like that before?
There's a lot. But at that point, it was very hit and miss. I mean, you had Robert Rodriguez doing like Once Upon a Time in Mexico. It looks like it's shot on his home video camera. I mean, it looks, and then... And then you have, Sin City. That was a big one that made people realize, okay, digital, shooting is oddly enough, Mel Gibson's Apocalypto was shot with the same camera that shot Superbad with. Totally different movie, but again, a real testament to that camera.
See, it's cool that you're saying that, because I would have never, I guess just me not being a DP, I would have never thought about this being shot digitally or not, because it's not an action movie, and all those other ones that you talked about were pretty much like action or like really high things. So the fact that you even brought it up in this type of movie is pretty cool.
But you think about like those rich gold colors once the night hits. It's great, and those are scenes. They're shot in such low light that's where a digital camera really comes into play and can do things that film can't. But it maintains that look of film that we love, and I like the coloring in the movie a lot. It's really good.
Nice.
What?
Go ahead.
Topic was like our favorite parts, right? Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
So like, how about the ends when Seth and Evan are laying in sleeping bags next to each other, and you can envision maybe like adults now, and laying next to someone, possibly on a bed, because if you're laying close enough to someone like that, and then hugging them and saying I love you, and then boop, boop on the nose type of thing. It's one of those type of things that you see in college. You see the person, or it happens to you, and you experience it, and then you wake up in the morning, and it's like, and you're all groggy, and you need a water and stuff, and you're like, what the F? Like, I have no idea what just happened.
They did the sleeping bag thing again, and This Is the End.
I was about to say that, yeah.
Oh, yeah?
That was one of the funnier parts of that movie, too.
Mm-hmm.
The funniest part in This Is the End is, dear God, it's me, Jonah Hill, from Moneyball.
My favorite part in this movie, there's, I don't know, a lot of one-liners. It's hard for me to pick like any one particular part. I thought the ending, like the end where they Jonah Hill and Michael Cera split up, and Jonah Hill goes with Emma Stone, and Michael Cera goes with his girl, and like he's watching him go down the escalator, and it's that really awkward, like he's just like looking back at him, like that was kind of cute. That whole message, that theme of separation and learning to move on and grow up, that was well done. But a lot of the one-liners in this movie were just really funny. Like I mentioned that one earlier between Jonah Hill and Michael Cera in the car. And I think one of my favorites is actually when McLovin, drops all the beer in the middle of the liquor store, and the guy comes up and he's like, Sir, did you do this? He's like, no, and you should clean this up. And he walks away and he's just like, fuck my life. that line, that fuck my life, actually. It's so hard.
I like I'm making a pube salad. I need some Seth's own dressing.
Oh, yeah.
God.
How about the dick part? That's what the MPAA made a huge deal about, is the dick part, because they were like, how stiff are they going to be? How are they going to be veins?
Yeah.
And like that's literally what
They got down to a
questioning.
conversation about veins.
Yeah, and that's what the MPAA didn't care about, all the F-bombs that they dropped. They didn't care. They really, really, really were hardcore about these penises. Yeah, man. And that's one of I thought, you see them at the very end and you're like, these are elaborate.
Yeah,
Somebody had
yeah,
it.
were pretty ridiculous.
Somebody had a fun time.
They're actually drawn by Evan Goldberg's brother David.
Oh, really?
Actually sat there and drew all of them. Yeah.
They were definitely well drawn. I mean,
It only happens to 80% of people. No big deal. It's just normal. So. Like what?
I think what you guys alluded to, like my favorite part of this is just the dialogue, like how they just really talk like real friends and real people. And I think some of my favorite things are Fogel is funny and Seth is funny, but just some of the things that like Evan says like under his breath after like something's already done and he's like, and like he just says something and like if you catch it, it's just like funny because like somebody will be making fun of him and like it's like, no, I wasn't watching that because that comes on Thursdays. So like like those things just like make me laugh because awkwardness is just funny.
He did a good job with the awkward. This was one of his better awkward roles.
When he's playing the video game and he's like, that's stupid. How are you supposed to win?
Am I even playing this?
Why am I playing
Every time I look at that, I'm like, oh, I know players who are maybe getting shot in the face all the time. But I like to be on the other end, so it's really funny. Yeah.
But when you get angry at a video game, it's just like, why am I even doing this if you can't?
Yeah.
You can't even like finish your sentence. Like,
But
it's impossible to even. I don't get it.
Yeah.
Behind that Michael Cera veil that just keeps, you can't picture him yelling.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So, what do you guys think about like as far as like where their writing has gone? Because this is like their first, and then Rogan and Goldberg go on to do like This Is the End and The Watch and Green Hornet and Pineapple Express. Like, where do you think this falls in line with what they've done since?
That's tricky. I mean, Pineapple Express I find really, really funny. But here's the thing with Superbad and Pineapple Express and all these movies. Writing is a very loose term because they, by their own admission, improvise a ton.
So they come up with a story.
They come up with the story, they come up with the base, and then they let the actors do. That's why they keep using the same actors because these are all people who are great improvisers.
Mm-hmm.
So when you say where is their writing gone, I mean, like I said, it's a much more loose term. I think it's been kind of hit and miss, for me, Pineapple Express really worked, which is weird for me because I'm not like a stoner movie fan. I'm not a weed fan in general. But the relationships and especially the bloodier it gets, for some reason it works better for me because you just don't see that coming. This is the end. A lot of good laughs in it, but again, I always when it comes to comedy, I always say that you have you've got the comedies that you're going to watch however many times, and you're going to laugh at them, but each time you watch it, it becomes a little less funny. Now, somehow Superbad manages to circumvent that a little bit. Some of the others, I think you get used to the jokes. They're coming, the show wears off. So something like Annie Hall or Bringing Up Baby, they're funny because they're very cleverly written. And they remain, you maybe don't laugh as loud when you're watching them, but you laugh consistently over the years. Superbad, I think, will remain in that category. And probably a big piece of that is the relationship between the three main characters and how relatable that is.
Yeah.
Something like Pineapple Express or This Is the End, I think the laughter diminishes with more views because it's less about the relationships and less about the clever writing and more about what immediate comedy comes out of the
you see I think that's funny that you say that because I agree with you like on Pineapple Express, but I thought This Is the End was all about relationships with each other.
Yeah.
I thought This Is the End was cool Pineapple Express was really interesting for me because I'm not okay. I stopped drinking like 4 years ago, so weed is absolutely awesome to me. So I would expect that if I was to go see a stoner movie, I'd be just laughing my ass off the entire time. But I really didn't like it the first time I saw it, and it sort of has grown on me. But it's really interesting. Like without. Now looking at Superbad as somebody who doesn't really drink so much, and I used to drink so much in college and everything, I can still feel those feelings, and I still get that feeling of I really want to watch this film. And when it comes to Pineapple Express, it was more of like a growing on me thing. So I think that as far as their writing and everything, I mean, it's hands down. I think that Superbad's going to be the number one. And then you're always going to look at that and you're going to be like, okay, well, how good was it compared to that? But I mean, if you're holding up the number one film and then saying I'm going to shoot myself down, I mean that's
jump off a bridge because my movie didn't make as much money as Titanic.
Right, that's pretty cocky, right?
Yeah.
So
if we are comparing the two, Pineapple Express and Superbad, I actually do think I can put my finger on it of why Pineapple. I know we're going off on another.
It's fine.
Tangent
no,
here,
you're fine.
But I mean, with Pineapple Express, and this is with nothing but love and respect for weed smokers, because many of you, I love you. But weed is not for me. I don't get it. I don't find the appeal. And in Pineapple Express, you have characters who are consistently high the whole time, and they don't seem to. The line is even in the movie. We don't function well when we're high. And I think that's why, despite it being a stoner comedy and me not really having an interest in weed, it still works for me because it's looking at it on the outside and how ridiculous it can look to the rest of the world when you're high as a kite all the time.
Well, one of the things. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. That's pretty much. I think that's why the movie works for me, because otherwise it wouldn't. If it was just kind of a celebration of that, it wouldn't work for me. But it does.
One of the things I actually liked about Pineapple Express, since we're on a Pineapple Express tangent right now, was they actually, a lot of movies will try and depict, stoners or being high, and they just get it like so wrong. Like it's like that's not what being high is like at all.
Yeah.
And Pineapple Express gets it right in a lot of ways, which I appreciated. And there's a lot of funny lines in it and stuff like that comes from them being high and the way they act when they're high. But actually, my favorite part about Pineapple Express, other than that accuracy, was also the accuracy of like the fight scenes as far as well, no, because like you see Hollywood movies today and everybody's doing like kung fu and like crazy choreography and fights. It's like nobody fights that way. Like that's not how a real fight would go down.
You haven't been to Compton.
No. But I doubt
Didn't we already use that joke?
I did.
I doubt they
Bring
do
it back
kung
around.
fu. I doubt they do kung fu in Compton. And in Pineapple Express, especially the fight I always think of is the one in the apartment between Seth Rogen and James Franco and what's the other guy's
Danny McBride.
Danny
McBride. That whole fight is just so ridiculous. Where he's just like, one of them tries to kick the other guy and he catches his foot and now he's hopping on one. They're hurting themselves more than they're hurting the person they're trying to hurt. And it's like, I appreciated that and I was laughing a lot. I was just like, that's what a real fight between a bunch of idiots would be like. And he slams his head through the wall, just like goes overboard. Neck brace. That movie for me, the part that was a downer for me in that movie was when it jumped the shark at the very end, when like a whole bunch of like ninjas show up, and I was like, where did this come from? I was loving the realism, and now there's suddenly ninjas. But
so as we move into the end, I think one thing that I think it really stands out about this movie is how the movies like in this genre after it have pretty much fashioned themselves like Superbad. Because like before in the 90s and early 2000s, like when you had like a teen movie, it was like you almost take like there was like certain casting. Like you have to cast the jock friend, you have to cast the loser friend, you have to cast like the very smart friend, like the very American Pie-ish type of deal. And then a lot of those movies were like that. And then here comes Superbad, where you essentially have like these three guys who are pretty much all the same and they're friends. You know what I mean?
All
And then
the same socials.
all the same social circle. Whereas you look at other movies and there's fun, and if you have a big group of friends, then you can find those people. But most people aren't walking around with like 5 or 6.
Like the cliche characters. Like
Exactly.
I mentioned Can't Hardly Wait earlier, and that's another. They like take them from the yearbook. They have Mike Dexter is the jock, and they have what's her name? Amanda, played by Jennifer Love Hewitt, who's like the beauty queen. Or well, she's not even.
Jennifer Love Hewitt.
That's what I said.
Yeah. Jennifer Love Hewitt. Let's just stop and think about that name for a little bit.
No.
Back in the day, she's still hot.
She's still hot.
But I mean, no. She ends up being more than just the pretty princess or whatever. But that was her archetype for her character, and they have all the archetypes, and they do. And you're right, they do that in a lot of the older teen movies. They kind of pulled away from that.
And everyone at the end of the. I'm sorry. Everyone at the beginning of this one is the same person at the end. There's no there's some arcs, but no one changes. Like they decide, okay, we're not going to go to the same school, but no one's a different person. I like that. I'm sorry.
I would disagree with that. I would say there is a character arc, and they do grow up. They remain in the same social sphere.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to change in terms of their personality traits, but in terms of who they are as adults and stuff, that changes. One thing that you were talking about, the difference between how the teen movies in the late 90s, early 2000s had the jock, the beauty queen. They sort of had one person from each social sphere. And in Superbad, everybody's kind of on the same level. I think that's a reflection of the way our society has gone. There's less emphasis on sports, more on academics. The internet, the introduction of the internet puts more people on a even playing field, because now you can kind of talk to anybody on the internet, where there was more social rules when you had to talk to people face to face and stuff. So I think it's a reflection of the way society is changing, of how we don't look down on what might be considered the high school losers in the same way anymore. It's a little more accepting. I
can see that, because I think that's kind of where they went. Like now it's almost like it's cool, and it kind of goes through this, because it was like in the 80s, and kind of comes back around where the uncool becomes cool, because after this, like you said, you get a Juno, which is about kind of like the alternative group, or even like Project X, or 21 and over, where it's almost like a celebration of the geek. And I don't even want to call him like a geek or a nerd, but just like the average person.
Average Joe.
Well, it's like a thing right now to be like, oh, I'm such a geek, LOL. Like Facebook, they've got I fucking love science. It's like a group that everyone's
Listen,
trying to join.
if you were smart and you got ahead in high school and everything, you have money to spend on movies right now. Okay? So I mean, the people who are watching these, I can see a lot of people seeing a lot of themselves in the characters, and friends of themselves, and even if they knew the people, it's just one of those type of things. Even if it's something that it's reminiscent of your future, it's very nostalgic, and I think that type of feel is really just homey for everyone, right?
Yeah.
So.
Cool.
No, I think I said this earlier. I think most people look back at themselves in high school and see awkward and just weird, and so that's why they relate to characters like these. I mean, we had a couple jocks and popular people in school, but I mean, if you really think about it, like they were in the minority. And even they, I'm sure grew as people as they got older. When they look back, they're like, man, I was such a fucking idiot. When they look back at themselves.
I hope they did. Otherwise, no, I'm just kidding. No, I love them.
Peed on my pants. So as we're moving here to the end, anything else that anyone wanted to talk about or mention that we didn't get to about this film? Huh?
Was Knocked Up? Was that written by Seth Rogen?
No, I think that was Judd Apatow.
That's actually like, if I think about like you mentioned earlier, your favorite, like as far as like where Superbad stands on the movies, I was thinking of Knocked Up as probably the best one, but that's like not written by Seth Rogen. But that was I remember really liking Knocked Up.
Did you see This Is 40? Because that was really good.
I didn't see that.
It's like the unofficial sequel
This Is 40
to Knocked Up,
Oh, really?
where it talks about like Paul Rudd's and Leslie Mann's character, and where they are turning 40, and like the girls, it's literally the same characters.
Yeah.
And the girls that they have are really Leslie Mann and Judd Apatow's two girls. Okay. They're like older, and it talks about them like not loving each other as much or loving. It's like it's a long movie. It's like I think it's almost 2.5 hours, but it's funny the entire time. It was really good. I thought that was some of his best writing.
Well,
Judd Apatow.
Yeah, Knocked Up was Knocked Up. That was like the first one where I can't remember the actor's name, but the black guy who plays the bouncer in Knocked Up, and he ends up in This Is the End.
Craig.
Ends up in Pineapple Express.
Craig. It's Craig something, right? Craig.
He's like, I can't let you in the club because you're old as shit.
Yeah.
And he is a really good actor. He's really funny.
He's funny.
And that was one of his first. I liked him in Pineapple Express, and I liked him in This Is the End.
He's not in Superbad, though, is he?
No.
It's one of the few like Judd Apatow ones that he doesn't make an appearance in.
Yeah, he was. Danny McBride shows up at the party in Superbad.
Does he really?
Yeah, he's like at the party that Seth goes to. He's like in the back somewhere.
Okay.
It's like a cameo type of thing. Craig. It's something Craig. Like Craig is his first name, and then he has a last name. So Craig, call us. Let us know who you are.
Yeah, sure.
Well, I think all the people liked it because it was a $20 million budget. It made $121 million at the box office. It made 10 back.
Superbad now.
Superbad. 10 times as much money. And the way we rate things here at the Hangout is on a 5-star scale. So going around the table, what do you guys give it?
5 out of 5. But, I mean, I've watched the movie way too many times, so... I mean,
38 if I remember correctly.
Well, that's that summer, okay? And then I have watched it. I watched it 2 times in the past week. I'm sorry, but I mean that was in preparation for this. Okay, to be fair, but like,
excuse.
yeah, but I mean it's literally over 100 and something. So, yeah,
Over 100 and something?
Yeah.
Was it 186? Because that's how many times they say the word fuck in this movie.
I know, and you know what's really funny? It's funny because in the Awesome movie. You say fuck a lot.
Yeah.
Right? And it's funny because when I think about this movie, I don't think about the F word at all. Mm-hmm. It's really just interesting,
Jonah Hill
you know?
was responsible for most of them, I'm pretty sure.
But you said it like less than half the times.
Yeah, I remember it was, listeners know we made a movie called Awesome Movie, and I played a character who was similar to Seth, and when we were editing it and looking at it, I think I came to Jay and I was like, Jay's also a producer, came to Jay and I was like, I say the F word too many times, and it was like bothering me. And then
because it's your voice,
it's my voice, yeah. And then you give me the statistics, and you're like, in Superbad, they say it 186 times.
That's my favorite movie, so you can't be wrong, you know?
They say it in a South Park movie.
Oh God, I don't know.
Oh, it was like 500 or something, right? And they were going for a record or something.
And in Superbad, they broke it down, and for the amount of time, because I think the movie it's somewhere near 118 minutes,
yeah.
And the amount of times that they do it, you would actually said the F word every 1.6 seconds.
Yeah,
the F word is said in Superbad.
Jonah Hill's all over that.
Yeah, he's pretty much
he's all over.
You
know?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So 5 out of 5.
Yes.
Sam.
Can I do 3.5 out of 5?
3.5 out of 5.
No.
Cool.
I'm just kidding.
2.5 stars here. No, I would either I guess 3.5 seems pretty reasonable. Again, I felt like the writing maybe 4. I don't know. The writing for the high school scenes was really really spot on, and the acting was really good too. But it was the whole cop thing that really like turned me off to the movie. But I wouldn't hold that against it too much. I wouldn't give it a perfect 5, but. I think 4 is reasonable for this.
4?
Yeah.
Cool. And I'm going to give this one a 5 out of 5. I think it was funny. I think it was hilarious. I think it's something. I think it's timeless. I think this is the type of movie that will stand the test of time because there's really no harking back to when it was made. Like we couldn't even decipher it. I think it's just real. So yeah, 5 out of 5. And so that is our review of Superbad 2007. We're going to go around. Jay, where can people reach you at?
Highlysober? You just call me. No, I'm just kidding. I'm on Facebook. I have a producer page, and you can come and like me and follow some of the production stuff that we do with Highlysober. I try to keep most of my production stuff there.
Nice.
Like J Mill in the Mill. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You can probably get all my contact info on my website, samuelwhiteproduction.wordpress.com. You can find info on my photo and video business, as well as information on all my independent films. And you could also email me at swhiteproduction@yahoo.com.
I've made myself sort of hard to reach. I've got off the Facebook.
He's on the MySpace now.
MySpace is done and gone, I think. If anyone's really looking to get a hold of me, I guess you can always just email me. It's jmheebs, HEEBS, @yahoo.com.
Nice. And you can always reach me at any of the Highly Sober networks, www.facebook.com/Highly Sober Productions, or you can look up Highly Sober on most of the social media sites. You can always email us at highlysoberproductions@gmail.com. And yeah, guys, thanks. That was awesome. I think next week we're going to break down the movie Closer, which John...
Oh, man.
will be part of that.
We were on video. You could see my face.
No, not at all. Not Closer at all. But yeah, it's been fun, guys.
We're not doing Closer?
No.
Do you like Closer?
What is Closer again?
With Natalie Portman, Clive Owen?
Yeah.
That'd be
an interesting discussion.
I love Natalie Portman. Is that the one where she's a stripper? I mean, is that the one?
Yeah, that's the one.
Oh, she's so hot.
You know what? I've never seen this movie because
She's the hottest.
John told me about it, and I was thinking about it. And then John has such a disgust that every time I walk by the movie, I'm like, I should get it. And then I just think, I'm like, no, I haven't.
No, make sure you watch it sober because it's not going to be the best time you ever have.
We might be talking about Closer soon.
Get a movie with some discourse. We all like this one. Get a movie.
Closer has like one of my favorite quotes ever, which is when he breaks up with the girl and he's like asking her all these questions about the affair, and she confesses to like all these sex acts she did. He goes, "Thank you very much for your honesty. Now fuck off and die, you fucked up slag."
Wow.
And I was just
Holy
like,
F. All right.
That's kind of, frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. That's that kind of thing, yeah.
2000s.
Yeah.
F the effing.
By the way, that actor's name was Craig Robinson, Hot Tub Time Machine.
Thanks, guys. I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for being awesome.